So when I decided to ride again, the first thing I needed to do was to figure out which bike I wanted to get. Actually, that's not true. The first thing I needed to do was to pass an MSF course so that I could get my M2 endorsement on my license again. The problem was the course that I'd signed up for had a 7-week wait time, so I had a lot of time to kill, and I was doing a lot of research on bikes. And one conclusion I came to very quickly was the one bike that I did not want, absolutely no way, was the Harley-Davidson 2018 Sportster Iron 1200. So what am I riding today? The Harley-Davidson 2018 Sportster Iron 1200. Ha! Go figure. So it's going to sound silly, but the reason I didn't want the 1200 was all about the paint job, really. I mean, there are a lot of things that I like about the 70s that I would love to revisit, that I'd love to celebrate, but the AMF Harley-Davidson era is not one of those. So I'd kind of rule that out, and I was looking at something else. But about 2 or 3 days before I was to take my MSF course, my little bro Jimmy out at Quantico Harley-Davidson called me up and said, "Bro, you got to come out here. I know you don't want this 1200, but you need to look at what just came in." And what had come in was an Iron 1200 that a gentleman had purchased, ridden for about 2.5 weeks, put 190 miles on it, brought it back, said, "I want out of this bike. I want something bigger." And they were willing to make a really sweet deal on the bike if I wanted it. So at the end of the day, I figured, you know what, I am going to save so much money. I can pay to have that paint changed on the tank, and I took the bike because no matter what, I was getting a good deal, and I loved the engineering around the bike and the design. It was just the paint kind of bothered me. So I'm going to throw up a couple of photos here that I took the day I got her home. As you can tell from these, that's not really a stock configuration. The gentleman that bought her actually set her up for 2-up riding, something that I'm never going to do. I don't want to begin with, but my wife refuses to get on a bike because my brother-in-law decided to take a shortcut through gravel and with her as a passenger and dump the bike when she was a teenager, and she doesn't want it to have anything to do with it. So there was nothing about this bike that I couldn't mod, and I have made some changes, so I thought that I would ride around and find a spot real quick to kind of shoot a walk around video to let you see and meet Sophie and talk about some of the changes I've made and a couple of things that I'm thinking about doing going forward. So here we go. Okay, meet Sophie, my 2018 Harley-Davidson Iron 1200. As you can probably tell, I made some changes already since the photos I was showing. The first thing I did actually before I took delivery, I wanted to make sure that I had a crash guard. Oh wait, I'm not supposed to call it a crash guard, I was told. I wanted to put an engine guard on her, and I didn't go with the traditional old school engine guard. I actually went with something a little different, the mustache bar. I think it goes much better with the bike. It doesn't look as kind of old manish as the big oval guards that are out there that you see people riding around with. It also has a couple places to put your feet, but I'm 5'9", and I'm actually too short to even use those. But anyway, so after I got her home, the first thing that I did was take off the passenger pillion, and I replaced the sissy bar with one that was a little higher to support my EDC bag while I was commuting back and forth to work and just kind of like riding around. although I did create a bit of an issue with that when I took that off, because it exposed the fender, and I didn't want to rub the paint on the fender with my bag. So I did a lot of research, and this turned out to be a lot more complicated than I thought. I was looking for a fender bib that would fit, and what I ended up doing was I went to Mustang and took some measurements of some of the things that they had, and that's what you see here. I'll put a link to the one that I purchased in the description of the video. It fits really well. It's felt underneath to protect the paint. I also got the thumb screws off of Amazon instead of going with the Harley-Davidson offerings that they have, because these were much less expensive. Pretty cheap, actually. So with that, then, I'm still left with the seat. At least I'm left with the seat for now. I'm not going to say anything terrible about the seat. I mean, it's a great seat. It's the Sundowner. It has a lot of cushion. One of the nice things about it is this big, deep pan up top and this lip on the back. When you roll back on the throttle, you don't go flying off onto the fender. I mean, originally I wanted to look at getting a Lapera bare bones, but everybody I talked to that had one said they've got to pick themselves back up off the fender when they roll on the throttle a lot, so I didn't want to mess with that. I've got this custom one coming from Lapera in a few weeks, and I think it's going to be a really nice seat, and will go much, much better with the styling of the bike as well as the lines of the bike. The other thing that I added early on was I wanted storage, but I'm not a bagger guy. I didn't want saddlebags. That doesn't, to me, fit with the bike either. So I got this swing arm bag, and the one I decided to get after doing a lot of research was the William Max. And as you can see, it's all blacked out, so it goes really well with the style of the bike and the paint and everything. It doesn't like flash out at you from chrome. It's been really nice. It's small. It's small enough to do, or large enough to do what I needed to do and carry the stuff that I like to carry around with me every day when I'm out riding or commuting back and forth to work. I am probably going to put a derby cover on. I've checked out Millspin, and they've got some really nice military style derby covers, so I may end up putting one of those on. But I think, the other thing that I did was to take off the passenger pegs that were on there, and I needed to do that for the William Max swing arm bag so that it wasn't interfering with me opening or closing the bag and taking up some storage that's in there from compressing the bag down. Other than that, I think I've really happy with the way I've got her set up for now. I will likely ride her until the off season, and then at that point I may go ahead and do a stage 1 upgrade. There's about 2.5 months that I think I won't be able to ride because the weather up here just kind of sucks during that time. Maybe I'll do the stage 1, start off the new season with a little more performance, a little better sound, but we'll see. So that's Sophie. I'm really looking forward to being on the road with her and putting miles on and sharing in the journey that we're going to go on together. And if you're thinking about the 2018 Iron 1200, I highly recommend it. Like I said before, it's not the bike that I wanted, but it's the bike that I needed. It's a great fit. I'll be doing a video sometime probably in the next couple of weeks, kind of just an overall review about my riding experience with her and her performance. But yeah, that's it. So you guys have a great weekend. I'm gonna pack up and head out to the dealership, check on a couple of things, and get home before the wind picks up. Peace.